This video, we will take the step 2 of the Arduino ToyCar CAD-A-Long. Going to uh, let's put the new component as the drive, meaning like the motors. That's the next most important thing, right? So let's call this drive. Okay, yeah. So let's go back to and you can hit download button and it will be on your downloads now. So it's downloading. So now I can go back to my Fusion 360 and then I can go to upload and then select files. You can go to your downloads and you see right there today, there's a, you just downloaded the motor, DC motor. It's a step file. So you can say, yes, I want to upload it here to your location is Arduino Card Project version 2. Say upload. Now your motor is uploaded. Okay, so the motor is finally there. So now make sure you're on the drive. You see the active component is the drive. You see the dot is right there. So I'm going to drag this to the drive. Now, you see you can move the motor. Motors should go on the bottom, like kind of like this, except maybe the flat side, right? So it's something like this. So you can press OK. Now the motor, it's not sitting exactly how you want it to sit. Better job moving it if you wanted to. You can right click and say move. Again, right click this. Say move. You want to move this a little bit better. Maybe like this. Okay, that's looks good. 90 degrees, 90 degrees right there. It doesn't really matter, but it should be close to about the back because back is where you put in the motor, right? So you can say press OK. That is fine. So for right now, this is good. Remember, you have to have one motor there, another motor there, right? So now let's actually go to create a hole to put this motor in the chassis. So I'm going to go back to the active component, change it from drive to let's go to chassis. So what I want to do is I want to go here and make a box for this chassis, make a box for this motor so I can put the motor in there. I'm going to go back for the driver real quick just to move I want to move this a little bit higher so I can see where to put this. So I'm going to put it like that a little bit and then maybe move just a little bit this way. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to chassis and I'm going to turn off the sketch and okay, so now I noticed something. Wait, hold on, let's see origin. Let's turn on all the origins. Now you notice that there's a little bit something odd because you see how when you put that step file, it kind of messed up our origin. You see how they turn on the origin for drive. You see right now it's off. I'm turning on the origin for drive and then turn on the origin for the chassis. So you see how they're not 100% aligned. And then, so that might be a problem later on. So you see how this origin right here for the chassis and the origin for the the drive component, they're not the same. So what I want to do before I continue with anything is I'm going to turn on the body and then I'm going to go to modify. Actually, let's go not to modify, press S and put align. And put align here. And then you want to align, I'm going to align this with this origin over here. Let's put the motor out. So what I'm trying to do is I'm aligning this origin with this origin. So fully aligned. So I'm going to go back to drive and then I'm going to align, press modify and put align line component. So I'm going to press this one and this one. Yeah, now they seem to be aligned. Okay, now I can turn on this motor. I'm gonna put on the. Okay, now, yeah, so the motor is over here. Uh, okay, so the motor is over here. Now we want to make a. So let's go back to chassis. We want to make some kind of a hole, or like a some kind of space to put the motor, and the motor doesn't fall off from the chassis. So let's do that. Let's try making a sketch. So I'm going to go here. And maybe it would be better if you have the exact measurement of the, I don't have the motor in front of me, but I pulled up the exact measurement of this kind of motor. And so basically the length of the motor is roughly about, the total length is about 38, but that's including this shaft. So if you ignore that part, the length is about roughly about 30 millimeters. It's 25 from here to this black space, but the whole thing is about I would say about 30 millimeters, and the height is about 16.5. I'm going to write this down because I'm going to need these things for later on. So I'm going to say that the length of the motor is about roughly about 30 millimeters, and the height is about 16.5. Um, and the width is about 20 millimeters. Okay, so I'm going to create a sketch on the Fusion 360 to make a box for this, like a hole. So let's go back to Fusion 360. So I'm going to hit create a sketch, and it will ask what origin. I want to say this origin over here. So I'm going to create the. Also, I want to create this thing on the, not on the top. Well, actually, it doesn't really matter. One side is the top, one side is the back. It doesn't really matter. But since the motor is up here, it'd be easier to create it on the top. But it would actually become your bottom because the motors are going over there. Yeah, it would be just easier to build the hole right here. Okay, so I'm going to move this and say create. This is my sketch, but the angle is not good. So I'm going to go back over here, go back, go back. Going to turn it around because it's easier to create the sketch from here. Okay, now I'm going to make this a square, and I'm going to start the square here. So all the way from the edge, I'm going to draw a square like this. Yeah, that's good. And then I'm going to use the dimension. So press D, and then you can select the width to be, remember the width of the motor was 20, right? So I'm going to say this is a 20 millimeters. And then I want the, so press D again. Now that I want to make sure that was the width. Now I'm going to make sure this line to this line, that should be 20 because that's the width of the motor, and this is the length of the motor. That should be roughly about 30. Now here's the thing. So this will be the box where the motor will fit, but we should make sure that this line is a construction line because we want to make sure that this line is a construction line. So I'm going to press this line, and let's escape out of the dimensions. Let's right click on this one, and I'm going to say that that's a construction line. So it's not a real line because we want to make a hole, that side should not be covered. I'm going to convert these other lines into a wall, but this side should not be covered. So now I'm going to Let's create a parameter. So press S, put change parameters. Let's add two parameters. Motor box length. That was roughly 30 millimeters. 30 millimeters. Then motor box width. That was 20 millimeters. That's okay. Now I'm gonna go back here and assign that this is the double click motor box length. And this right here, motor box length, press enter. Then this right here is motor box width. Now, I'm going to make an offset to this. So I'm going to enter. I'm going to select this and then say modify offset. Offset to basically this. So that will be now, when I make the offset, I have to make it negative so that it goes inside, but that also means that I have to increase. So this will be the wall. This will be the wall, but we have to add whatever this thing is to the measurements of the motor because now we're reducing the space that we created for the motor. So I'm going to say that the offset is about 2 millimeters. Now, I might add another parameter here. Let's call this. So let's again, so press S, change parameters, and put another one. Motor box thickness. I'm going to put 2. So I'm going to put here plus motor box. So I'm going to make the length 30 plus motor box thickness. And same thing here. Width is 20 plus whatever. If I do that, and if I change later on, if I decide to change the thickness, it will automatically change the whole thing. Motor box width plus motor box thickness. Okay, press OK. Now let's extrude this part. So I'm going to select hover over it and then select it, and then I'm going to say extrude. Oh, actually, I didn't select this part. Let's go back. Okay, now let's make it into offset. The -2. So this is the motor box thickness. So we just made an offset to where the motor will be sitting. Let's go back to parameters. Go to press S. Change parameters, and I'm going to create a parameter called motor box thickness. Box. And then let's make it 2 millimeters. Press OK. Okay, so we made the offset. We should make it a -2. So I'm gonna go back and put change parameters and make the motor box thickness -2 because it's coming inside. If it goes outside, it will go out. So now we need to go back to change parameters and add the length and width since it's we're using some of the length for the motor for the wall. We have to add that to the width because you see how it's losing out 2 times the motor width on both sides. So I'm going to add 2 times motor thickness because you see how when we made the offset, we lost 2 millimeters on either side for width, and then motor box length we lost just 2 millimeters because the other side did not have a offset. So +2 plus mortar box thickness. If I wanted to measure this, right? Let's measure D from here to here now. That's 12. Oh, we have to make sure when we write that parameter, let's go back to cancel. Let's go to yes, change parameters. Width should be two times. So since this is positive, this is negative, that might be a problem here. So maybe we should put right here negative like that. Will that help? Okay, because otherwise it just takes subtracting. We want to add. So negative 2 times mortar box thickness. And over here, we should say, oh, we should say not negative 2, maybe 2 times negative mortar box thickness. And here we should say negative mortar box thickness. So make it positive. That's okay. So now let's put dimensions from here to here. What is that? That's rough. That's 20, exactly what we wanted. And then what is this length from here to here should be about 30. Yes, that is 30. You see how you can use the dimensions to confirm. Okay, now that could be a good hole for the mortar. Now I'm going to say finish sketch. And then let's go back to sketches. So finish sketch. Now we want to extrude that sketch. So I'm going to go over here and select the whole thing by pressing shift. I'm going to take this line, shift. I'm pressing down shift and then that, and then I'm going to say E for extrusion. So and then I selected this to extrude, and let's make the height. Height was roughly about 16.5. So that would be exactly the height of the mortar. So that would be a good height for the mortar. Now we're not done because we need to also create a roof for this. So I'm going to say new sketch again. Make sure you're on the chassis, by the way. The active component should be chassis. And then I'm going to press this as my sketching environment. And then I'm going to create a rectangle here that is exactly the length and width of this thing. So I'm going to go here. So this would be the roof of the thing. So let's press escape. I'm going to press escape and put the chassis. I'm going to hide the motor for a second. And then maybe hide the body for a second. So now I have basically a roof, and now I want to extrude that whole. So I'm going to press, I created the sketch, and it looks like it's already constrained because these were defined before. So now I can press escape and then actually press E, and I can say E, select this side and select this one, and let's make it like 1 millimeter in thickness. So now let's see bodies. So basically, once I turn off the bodies, so I made a hole for the motor to sit. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to make sure that the motor can actually fit in there. So let's go to the parent component. So I'm going to go here to the parent component, and then I'm going to make sure that the motor, so where's the, okay, I see the motor and I've turned on the motor. So I want to make sure that that motor can actually go inside there. So what I need to do is I'm going to press J and hold down Control. No, I'm going to hide the motor for a second. And then I'm going to say Control. No, I'm going to press J. J, and then I'm going to hold down Control. Then I'm going to pick that midpoint. And then I'm going to turn on the motor. And I'm going to turn this around. And then I'm going to say that point. You see how that point should be aligned with the other midpoint. Now, if I go look, you see the motor is directly where I want it to be. So I joined under the parent component. You see, I made sure that I activated the parent component and I joined the motor. You see how the motor is now aligned with the pocket right there. Okay, so I think that the thickness, because I'm looking from here, that height actually, the length might actually be too much. I'm gonna press OK, but I might actually go back and make this a little bit. So I might go back and make the chassis not as long, the hole for the motor, because you see how only part of the motor, we want the motor to actually be sticking out more. So I'm gonna go back to the chassis, hit chassis, and then press S, change parameters, and make the motor box length maybe 28. Press OK. Because we want the motor to see now it sticks out more, I think. Yeah, I don't think, yeah, that should be good. That should be enough room for the yeah. So the main thing is that when you see from the back, you can see that the motor is sitting there, but it might actually, the inside of it, that thickness, the thickness, I might actually decrease the thickness. So let's go back to sketch again, press S, chassis thickness, change parameters. Um, Motor box thickness. Let's make it -1. So that way. That's okay. So the height wise, I think there's space, but length wise, I think the length needs to increase a little bit more. So chassis, let's go back to escape. Press S, change. parameters. So let's make the width maybe 22. Maybe let's make it 21. Change parameters. Press S. Change parameters. Maybe it's 21. We don't want it to be too loose. I think that's good enough. There's enough space on this side and that side and this. Okay, now this is good, except we need to cut a hole for the back of the motor. So let's actually cut a hole here. So I'm going to create a sketch. Make sure you're on chassis. And I'm going to create a new sketch. And I'm going to cut uh, cut a hole here. Rectangle, 2-point rectangle is fine. I'm gonna cut this hole all the way. Means I'll make this line parallel to that line. It's always constrained, so we'll define this. So let's use D for dimensions. Let's say that this from here to here is about 1 millimeter. And then from here to here, it's about 1 millimeter. And from here to here is also 1 millimeter. Okay, so that looks good. So we can say finished sketch. Now I'm going to press E to extrude this, but instead of new body, I'm going to say cut. And the distance, let's make it so that we're over here, we're like that. Cut distance. One side, distance to object. To distance. Cut. Questions cut. Let's cut. I think we don't need to cut more than 2 inches. So basically it will cut all the way to the motor. Now this looks good. So basically we created the pocket for the motor. Now we need a hole here so the motor wire can actually go through there. So let's go back to creating a sketch. Right here. I want to create a small hole for each of the motor, like right there in the middle. So I'm going to make a 2-point circle and I will make it somewhere here. Actually, let's make it right in the center of that. So I'm going to make a line first from here. Let's make the line from like right there. Let's actually make the line here. So create a line. Create a line from here to here to right there. And then I will say that the line type is construction. So this is a construction line. And then I'm going to find point, the midpoint. So I'm going to go here. You see, this is the midpoint. So I have to make a hole in the middle of that box. So going to create a line again from this midpoint to this line. This midpoint to, let's say right there. And I'm going to make this also a construction line, normal construction line. And then I'm going to find the midpoint of that line. So point. So I'm going to say, okay, that's the mid. When the triangle appears, that's the midpoint. Now I'm going to make a circle, 2-point circle from there. Nope. 2-point circle. Circle, center diameter circle. So from here, roughly about, I don't think I need more than 6 millimeter. So I'm gonna make the hole, center diameter hole. Let's say it's 7 millimeters. 7. About 5. 5. Let's put 6 millimeters. 6 millimeters. So I made a 6 millimeter hole there, and I want to extrude this. So I want to say that this is the midpoint. I want to make this a black line. See, right now it's not a black line, so I can move it around, right? See? So I want to define, let's define, let's go to dimensions. Let's measure from, let's go to D. Let's pick this line. And that, so yeah, let's make that. So the center of the hole to this thing is 8 millimeters. I think that would make, you see now, this is a black circle. So that means I cannot move it around anymore. You see, it doesn't move around. So then I can extrude that. So I'm gonna say finish sketch, press escape, finish sketch. And then now I'm going to press E and I'm going to cut this. So it's not a new body, it's a cut. And the distance to the object, not the object actually, distance, let's say 5 millimeters. Delete. So I'm gonna press this one, press E, So I want to cut this all the way through. Press. So now and go up into the top side. That looks good. Now you might think, oh, I have to do the whole thing all over again to the other side. Actually, you don't have to do that because you can mirror it. So now you can go back to the parent component, and then you can say, no, actually go back to chassis, right? Because we are making the, and then you can say, I want to make the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to press S and put mirror, M for mirror. And then it's asking me to select components, but select features. And then I'm going to uh, select, use shift to hold down this one, select all the extrusions basically that you did. And then mirror plane, select the mirror plane. Well, what mirror plane do I want? I want it, yeah, this mirror plane. This mirror plane. So you can kind of see how it's kind of forming it on the other side. Now, if you do adjust, you see how you can do adjust, optimized. You can do identical. Let's look at the identical. Actually, it's doing it the wrong way. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So let's go back to go back to the press S, mirror features. I'm going to select this one. So select that one, select that one, select this one. And what's this one? This one was the, yeah, maybe that one too. And what about that one? I don't need mirror. Okay, you see how now it's forming that? Okay, that looks good. I think I'm gonna go with the optimize. Press OK. Let's put identical. It's okay. Looks like identical worked. Okay. Now we have the back of the chassis pretty much done. The back of the chassis is done. Let's stop it here for now, and then we will work on the front.